Kidiaba dance? The donkey dance?
No, not at all. I don't know what kind of exercise goes into knowing how to do that dance.
Well,
so it's unfortunate we can't see Robert Kidiaba doing that at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the next edition.
I don't think he will be in the next World Cup either. So let's take a look at Group C of the World Cup right now. Let's get into the thick of things in Group C. There are 4 teams in Group C, and we want to take a look at the 4 groups that we have in Group C. France, the 1998 champions, Australia, Peru, and Denmark. Those are the teams that we have in Group C of the World Cup. Remember, 8 groups that we have, 32 teams, 736 players will be taking part in the World Cup. And before we get to look in depth at France, let's first take a look at how they qualified to take part in the in the Russia 2018 World Cup. Steve, you feel that this is the squad that everybody has very high expectations from them, right?
Yeah, France, luckily for them, every World Cup they normally go in as favorites. And that's because, you know, over time they've been able to produce one, you know, generation of very, very fine players after another. And they've produced, they've given the world so many great stars, the likes of Michel Platini, the likes of Didier Deschamps.
Who is the coach right now?
Who is the coach right now, yeah. The likes of, you know, hopefully the likes of Antoine Griezmann and Paul Pogba will also follow in the footsteps of the Henrys of this world. So
now let's take a look at the profile for France, the Les Bleus, who the coach is, and this is the history of France. Remember, the first World Cup was in 1930. The last World Cup was in 2014. There have been 2 finals. They've won 1 title, and that was in 1998. So who's the coach of this Les Bleus team? He was the captain at the 1998 World Cup. That's Didier Deschamps. He's now the man in charge of this team. He will be taking, he will be guiding them in the 2018 edition of the World Cup. Remember, he led them to the Euro finals in 2016. He will be at the World Cup still as the coach. Let's move on from the coach, move right into who the goal, rather, that ensure that they proceed to the World Cup in 2018. The goal was against Sweden, 2-1 win in 9th June 2017. Who's the star of the team, you may ask? Yes, it has lots of stars, but the main star of the team is not Paul Pogba, but Antoine Griezmann, the number 7 for France. So, apart from the goal that ensured that they go to the World Cup, let's look at the squad that has been selected to be in the 23-man squad that have been selected. Of course, we start with the captain, Hugo Lloris, Steve Mandanda, Alphonse Areola. Those are the goalkeepers. Then we move to the defense. Star-studded squad that we have here. We have Lucas Hernandez, Presnel Kimpembe from PSG, Benjamin Pavard, Benjamin Mendy from Manchester City, Djibril Sidibé. The only 2 players that have taken part in the qualifiers, all 10 games, Djibril Sidibé being one, Aldin Rami, Samuel Umtiti, and Rafael Varane. We go to the midfielders. We have Blaise Matuidi from Juventus, N'Golo Kante, Chelsea, Steven Zonzi, Sevilla, Paul Pogba, Manchester United, Corentin Tolisso from Bayern Munich. And then we go to the forwards. For Les Bleus, we have Olivier Giroud from Chelsea, Antoine Griezmann, of course, Atletico Madrid, Kylian Mbappe, PSG, Thomas Lemar, Monaco, Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona, Florian Thauvin, of course, from Lyon, and Nabil Fekir from Marseille. So, what are your thoughts about this squad?
It's a star-studded squad, really. If you look at the French team, you're wondering where is the weakness.
The expectations are very high.
They are very, very high, and also given, you know, the last edition of the Euros where they were beaten in the final. Deschamps won the World Cup in 1998 and also the Euros in 2002. But ever since he took the reins, you know, as the French national team manager, there's no silverware. So there's so much pressure on his back finally to deliver, because France really, there's really no excuse, because they are well stocked in every part of the team, from the goalkeeping right through defense, midfield, even the striking. You just can't, you'll even struggle to pick really who starts in there.
Well, now let's move away from the Le Blues and go to the Yellows. That is the Oz, Australia, the other team in Group B. How did they get to qualify for the World Cup? Let's take a look. That was Denmark's road to the 2018 edition of the FIFA World Cup, but we are talking about Australia. So let's take a look at Australia right here, how they qualified, who the coach is, who their star is. So let's move to Australia, and this is the history of Australia. The first World Cup was in 1974. The last was in 2014. They've not been to any final, and they've not won any FIFA World Cup. So who's the coach of Australia, you ask? Yes. Bart Van Marwijk is the coach of Australia. Remember, he was the coach that led Netherlands to the finals in 2010 against Spain. So, which goal ensured that they qualify for the FIFA World Cup? Their 2-1 win against Syria on 10th October 2017. The goal was scored by none other than Cahill. That is enabled them to move on. So, but who's the star of the Oz? Still the same guy, Tim Cahill, who wears number 4 for the Oz, so he enabled them to go through to the World Cup. Let's quickly go through the squad before we talk about the prospects of the Oz at the World Cup. The goalkeepers, Matt Ryan, Danny Vukovic and Brad Jones. We move to the defense, where we have Aziz Behich, Milos Degenich, Matthew Joman, James Meredith, Josh Risdon and Trent Sainsbury. Those are the defenders. We go to the midfield. That is the engine of the team. We have Mile Jedinak, Jackson Irvin, Robbie Cruz, Marcino Luongo, Mark Milligan, Aaron Moore, Tom Rogic, and then we have the forwards, Tim Cahill, Tom Jurek, Matthew Leckie, Andrew Nabot, Dimitri Petaros, Daniel Azani, and Jamie McLaren. Those are the forwards for Australia. And before we get to talk about Australia, since we had taken a look at Denmark's road to the 2018 edition of the FIFA World Cup, so let's take a look at the profile for Denmark and their history. How many World Cups have they been to? And their first World Cup was in 1986. Their last was in 2010. They've never been to any FIFA World Cup final, and they've never won any FIFA World Cup trophy. So, who's the coach of this Danish team, you ask? Yes, that is Ej Hadede. He's the coach of the Danish team. And how did they get to qualify for the FIFA World Cup in 2018 edition? They beat Ireland 5-1 on 14th November 2017. And of course, who's the star of this team is none other than Christian Eriksen. He puts on the number 10 jersey. He plays for Tottenham. This is the star of the Danish team. So, let's quickly go through the squad of Denmark. The goalkeepers, Frederick Renaud, Jonas Lossi, and Kasper Schmeichel, the Leicester City goalkeeper. Who are the defenders for Denmark? We take a look. We have Christian Sten, Henrik Dalsgaard, Yannick Vestergaard, Jens Steiger Larsen. We have Jonas Knudsen, and Jorgensen, and Simo Kjær. Then we go to the midfielders of the Danish team. We have Christian Eriksen, Lars Krohn, Lucas Leraga. We have M. Krondeli. Then we have Thomas Delaney and William Vist. Then we go to the people who will be in the striking force For Denmark, we have Andreas Cornelius, Kasper Dolberg, Martin Brelworth, Nikolai Jørgensen. You have Ure Poulsen, Victor Fischer, and Bjørn Sisto. And Steve, let's quickly take a look at these two teams. There we have Australia and Denmark. What are the expectations from these two teams before we go to look at Peru?
For Australia, I think they'll still be looking into, the input of Tim Cahill. He's a veteran. He's played throughout the world, really. He's been in football since we remember. And he's one of those people who we call the baby-faced assassin, because he just knows where the back of the net is.
He doesn't age?
No, he doesn't.
From his days at Everton?
Reminds us of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the former Manchester United forward. As in, he's one of those players who you can always rely on. But, the whole squad is not just about him, Tim Cahill, Mile Jedinak.
Yes.
With Aston Villa, I think he's been one of the standout players for Aston Villa. They just missed on promotion, losing on the playoffs. So they'll be looking at those two. Jedinak is, of course, the skipper. So they'll be looking at the two of them to, at least bring in the experience that they need for them to progress, because they've only ever progressed from the group stages once, which was, I think, in 2006. Yeah.
So let's move away from Australia and Denmark. Let's go to Peru. How did they get to qualify for the 2018 edition of the FIFA World Cup? That will be in Russia. Remember, it's the 21st edition of the World Cup. So let's take a look at Peru. So that is the profile for Peru, how they go to the 2018 edition of the FIFA World Cup in Russia. And yes, that is Group C of the World Cup: France, Australia, Peru, and Denmark. And as Steve was saying, the chances are high that France might top that group. Now, I'm joined by two gentlemen right here in studio. What's your name?
Nelson Kinyogo.
Nelson Kinyogo and?
Roger Skiv.
Regis. Which team are you supporting at the World Cup?
France.
You are France. So do you think France will win the World Cup?
They have a better chance.
They have a better chance. Which team are you supporting?
I'm supporting Peru.
Peru?
Yeah.
At the World Cup?
Yeah.
Why Peru?
Because I like their captain.
Who's the captain?
Guerrero.
Yeah, Paulo Guerrero.
Okay, I now see that why you are supporting Peru. So these are the winners of yesterday's question that we had about who was the first Moroccan to score at the World Cup, and the answer was Mohamed Jarir. These were the winners, and of course they will get to walk away with this merchandise. Each will get the football, a Go TV jersey, the cap, and the key holder, and also the water bottle. These are the winners from yesterday's question that we'd asked about who was the first Moroccan player to score at the World Cup. That was in 1974, and that was Mohamed Jarir. Remember, today's question, we had asked who holds the record for the most goals in a single FIFA World Cup? Who holds the record for the most goals in a single FIFA World Cup tournament? Yes, we had told you that the first two correct answers, of course, get to walk away with the merchandise. And of course, the winners are in. We have Adam who says Fontaine. That is just Fontaine who holds the record for the most scored in a World Cup. And we have Karaoke Kamau, of course, who said Fontaine, who scored 13 goals in the 1958 World Cup. Remember, you only played World Cup scoring 13 goals in a single World Cup in 1958. 13 goals in one World Cup. So what if had he played for more than 2 World Cups? Probably right now, Miroslav Klose could not have been any closer. Yeah. Remember, Miroslav Klose is the top World Cup goal scorer that we have 16 goals after 4 FIFA World Cups. Then he's followed by Ronaldo. Yeah. So, guys, what are your expectations for your teams in the World Cup?
At least, first of all, I expect them to advance from the group stages. at least if it goes bad, at least quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals. Peru, do you think Peru will make it out of this?
Yeah, first of all, they are in the
Group
C. Yeah.
Group C.
Yeah. But I think they'll advance.
Of course, gentlemen, congratulations for winning the merchandise. Of course, keep tuning in to the World Cup 2018 Russia show. We'll be giving out more merchandise courtesy of Go TV. And these are the winners from the question that we'd asked yesterday about who was the first Moroccan to score at the World Cup, and that was Mohamed Jariri. So these are the winners. This is yours, gentlemen, and this is yours. Let me ask you, as we wind up, we are winding up, and we've always had theme songs for the World Cup. This year's theme song is Live It Up by Nicky Jam. 2014 we had Pitbull, Ole Ola We Are One. 2010 we had Shakira, Waka Waka, and Kenan's Waving Flag. Which one do you think is the better one?
Waving Flag.
Waving Flag. Which one do you think is the better one?
Waving Flag.
Waving Flag. Well, too bad that Shakira, we had a poll earlier, Shakira won with Waka Waka with 60% of the votes, more than 500 votes that we had. But that is where we have to wrap it up right here on the 2018 FIFA World Cup show right here on KTN. Steve, thanks very much. Thank you very much for coming in. Hope to see you again soon. And gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and, you know, being fans of this show. We have to wind it up right here. Remember, Kisa Wandera is coming up on News Desk, so don't go away. See you tomorrow again, same time, same place.